Hello and welcome to EngLearn. Today we are diving deep into analyzing language for your Cambridge 9093 exam. This is where you zoom right in to examine the specific words and phrases a writer has chosen and why they chose them. Just like with form and structure, I've put together a comprehensive handout which you can use as your ultimate checklist to practice your analysis skills. You can find it in the description below. Let's break it down. First up, we're talking about Lexis and word choice. One of the things you can think about are semantic or lexical fields. Lexical fields are groups of words that relate to a particular topic or feeling. So, for example, there could be a cluster of words about war, which would include words like wound, battle, or retreat. Or maybe a cluster of words related to nature, like river, wild, or blossom. When the author chooses to include words from a certain semantical field, you need to wonder what kind of world or atmosphere those words build. Next, we're looking at connotations. This is really important. You need to look at individual words and think about whether they have strong positive or negative associations. For example, why did the writer choose the word slender instead of scrawny? Both of these words mean thin, but their emotional impact is completely different because they have different connotations. So look at those individual words that pop off the page for you and then think about why the author chose that particular word and not its synonym. Next, look at word classes. Which types of words in this text or in this part of the text are doing the heavy lifting? Are the verbs the author uses mostly active and dynamic or passive and static? That impacts the mood, tone, and pace a lot. How do adjectives and adverbs color those nouns and verbs to shape your perception? Are they emotive, super precise, or really subjective maybe? And finally, look at formality. Is the vocabulary formal, informal, colloquial, which would include slang, or perhaps technical, which would include specialist jargon? How does this choice of words set the tone and establish the writer's relationship with the audience? Moving on, let's talk about figurative language, where words are used in a non-literal way to create a specific effect. One of the most important figures of speech are metaphors and similes. So when we look at metaphors and similes, we need to wonder what two different things are being compared. What new understanding or feeling does that comparison spark in you? So, for example, when we hear a sentence like, "Her smile was like sunshine," we immediately feel some kind of warmth, don't we? And then we look at personification. Personification is when human qualities are given to inanimate objects or abstract ideas. You need to wonder what effect this has. Does it make the object seem friendly or threatening, or maybe something else entirely? Next, we can look at rhetorical devices. Rhetorical devices are all about how the writer patterns language to persuade you, emphasize a point, or to really engage the reader. You can look at whether the author uses rhetorical questions. Are they designed to make you agree or challenge your thinking and make you pause? How about hyperbole or exaggeration? Why is the writer exaggerating a point? Is it for humor, for dramatic effect, or to really hammer home a strong opinion he has? Next is repetition. We know that repetition is really powerful, but is it used to create rhythm, to build emphasis, or to make an idea super memorable? These are just some ideas. Of course, all of these language features can be used for various effects. Then you can pay attention to lists, especially the rule of three. Lists can serve several different purposes. They can create a sense of scale, which makes you feel that the topic is massive and that these examples that the author mentioned are just a small snapshot of a larger picture. They can also show variety by showing a wide range of different issues. And most powerfully, especially with the rule of three, they build a sense of finality, where the last item gives the whole idea a satisfying, solid, and complete feeling. Next, we're going to look at grammatical choices, which include sentence structure and punctuation. These are often overlooked, but they're incredibly important. We've already covered some of these when we talked about structure, but there is no harm in some repetition. So we need to look at sentence structure. What about their length and complexity? Are the sentences mostly short and simple, which creates urgency or directness? Or are they long and complex, which is used for detailed description and very formal arguments? Then look at sentence types. Does the author use imperatives or commands to instruct you, or declaratives or statements to inform you, or interrogatives, which are questions, to invite participation from the audience? And finally, don't forget punctuation. What are the effect of different punctuation choices? How does punctuation control pace or rhythm of the text? Is it used for dramatic pauses, for emphasis, or to create a particular tone? Next, let's immerse ourselves in imagery and sensory details. This is how the writer brings the world of the text to life. The key here are the 5 senses. So you're looking at how does the writer appeal to your sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. What is it that you see, hear, feel, smell, or taste as you read? And this is where we'll also include auditory imagery and sound devices. How do the actual sounds of the words contribute to the text's mood and rhythm? One of the things you'll look for here is alliteration, the repetition of initial consonant sounds. How does that create rhythm or emphasis? Different sounds have different effects. Then we can look at assonance, which is the repetition of vowel sounds. How does assonance add to the musicality or a specific mood? And finally, onomatopoeia, words that sound like their meaning, such as buzz or crash. How does this create an immediate sensory experience? You can also think about the type of imagery. Is the imagery, for example, peaceful and natural, or industrial and ugly? How does the dominant imagery contribute to the text's overall message and mood? And finally, how does the writer move from abstract to concrete? We had a great example of this in one of the recent videos. I'll link it in the description below. Do they use physical, tangible images to describe abstract ideas like love or freedom? And finally, whatever you do with your language analysis, you need to look at the big why. You need to connect all your specific observations about language to the bigger picture. So how do all of these linguistic choices work together to create a specific and consistent tone? And what kind of a tone is it? What do these choices reveal about the writer's unique style? Is the style direct and concise, or elaborate and descriptive? How does the language position the audience? Does it make you feel intelligent, emotional, concerned, or maybe a part of an exclusive group? And finally, one of the most important questions: purpose. How do these specific word and phrase choices help the writer achieve their purpose and communicate their message powerfully? So, there you have it, your comprehensive guide to analyzing language. Remember, the more you practice, the more these techniques will become second nature. Again, you won't have this in your exam. It's going to serve as a way to practice and to analyze language in really great detail. If you found this helpful, click the like button, subscribe to EngLearn for more exam success tips, and let me know in the comments which language features you find most interesting to analyze. Thanks for watching and happy exam season, everyone!